Hello there. We are Group 11, and our team consists of myself, Andy Daniel Zepeda.
Eric Huang.
Magdalena Quiroz.
And for our experiment, we set out to study the effects of different cups and lid combinations on heat containment. Now, the typical material used for coffee is usually a ceramic mug, but when half an hour to an hour have passed and your coffee gets cold, it begs the question, is this really the best way to keep my coffee warm? Now, our goal for this experiment is to approach this question using 9 groups consisting of 3 different containers and 3 different lids. Our null hypothesis for this experiment is that with a level of significance of 0.05, that there will be no difference in heat loss across all combinations, as well as our alternative hypothesis that there is a difference in heat loss across all combinations. Now, in the middle of our poster board, we have the materials used for this experiment and its setup. What we did was simulated hot coffee with boiling water at 100 degrees Celsius. We then poured 8 ounces of water into each container and placed their respective lids on top. After 20 minutes, we recorded the temperature onto the data table on the right. And after 30 measurements per group, we then proceeded to our data analysis. I'll now pass it over to my group mate to talk about a few of those results.
So the first step for our experiment was to make a QQ plot for every single combination. We did this to determine if our data was actually normally distributed. The QQ plot on the left with the combination plastic cup, no lid, you could see that the data is normally distributed. On the other hand, the QQ plot on the right with the glass cup and plate lid is not very well evenly distributed, but comparing it to the other QQ plots, we could see that it is normally distributed. Now, once we determined that we have our data is evenly distributed, we made a ANOVA table.
Now, in order to accept or reject our null hypothesis, we ran an ANOVA on Excel. Now, what we're looking for in this data analysis is the p-value, f-critical value, and f-value that it produces. Now, since the p-value falls below our level of significance of 0.05 and our f-value is above our f-critical value, it indicates that our null hypothesis should be rejected. To further prove this, we use Minitab to create an ANOM graph, which clearly shows where the average temperatures lie within one another. Aside from the glass cup with the plate lid, all the groups fell outside of the division lines. Now, because the null hypothesis was rejected, we then ran a Tukey-Kramer post-hoc comparison test. Now, with this, we discovered that all the groups or pairs were statistically different aside from 4. Now I'll pass it over to my group mate to finish the results.
All right. So with different heat retention rates, we ran a test to obtain an exponential regression graph to determine the heat loss rate of each group. Given the material for each section, this allowed us to determine how quickly each variation is supposed to get back to room temperature. As mentioned, the materials of the cups used were a coffee mug, glass cup, and a plastic cup. And the lids in this that was used was either no lid, napkin lid, or a plate lid. Now we're gonna talk about how long it took each category to get back to 25 degrees Celsius. So now I'll be mentioning about the categories with no lid. So a coffee mug took 48.77 minutes, a glass cup took 51.92 minutes, and a plastic cup took 57.48 minutes. And then our other category was using a napkin lid. So a glass cup took 55.50 minutes, coffee mug took 64.38 minutes, and a plastic cup took 73.16 minutes. And then our third variation was using a plastic lid. So the glass cup in this took 59.61 minutes, a coffee mug took 61.90 minutes, and a plastic cup took 67.06 minutes. And with that, we determined that there was no relationship that exists within these categories.
In conclusion, our objective was to determine if there is a significant difference in heat loss after 20 minutes using 9 different container combinations. Our null hypothesis was there's no difference in heat loss across the groups. We used the QQ plots to make sure our data is normally distributed. Looking at our ANOVA table, We decided to reject our null hypothesis and we ran a post hoc turkey comparison test to confirm that a majority of the pairs were statistically different. With that, that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much.